The most important geopolitical developments rarely begin with war. They begin with patterns. On June 27, China and Russia conducted their 11th Joint Strategic Bomber Patrol since 2019, deploying Chinese H-6K strategic bombers alongside Russian Tu-95 bombers over the Sea of Japan, East China Sea, and Western Pacific. The operation included J-10C fighters, Su-30M KK strike aircraft, YY-20 aerial refueling tankers, and KJ-500A airborne early warning platforms. On the surface, this was another routine military exercise conducted in international airspace. In reality, it represented something much more significant: the gradual institutionalization of a Sino-Russian military partnership capable of challenging the strategic assumptions that have underpinned the Indo-Pacific order for decades. For much of the post-Cold War period, the United States enjoyed overwhelming military superiority across the Western Pacific. China lacked the capability to sustain long-range operations beyond its immediate periphery, while Russia's strategic focus remained concentrated on Europe. Today, that strategic environment is changing rapidly. The integration of Chinese and Russian long-range aviation assets demonstrates that both powers are increasingly capable of conducting coordinated military operations across vast distances, complicating American and Allied military planning throughout the Indo-Pacific. From a geopolitical perspective, the patrol highlights a central principle of great power competition. States facing a common strategic rival often develop forms of cooperation that would otherwise appear unlikely. China and Russia remain distinct powers with different interests and priorities, yet both increasingly perceive the American alliance system as the primary constraint on their strategic ambitions. Their growing military cooperation is therefore less about formal alliance structures and more about balancing against a common geopolitical challenge. The geography of the patrol itself reveals its strategic purpose. Operating across the Sea of Japan, East China Sea, and Western Pacific place Chinese and Russian aircraft near some of the most heavily defended airspaces in the world. These routes intersect critical strategic corridors surrounding Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and American forward-deployed military infrastructure. Such operations are designed not merely to demonstrate military capability, but to normalize sustained strategic pressure against regional air defense systems and gradually reshape the operational environment of the Western Pacific. The inclusion of nuclear-capable H-6K and Tu-95 bombers further elevated the strategic significance of the mission. While neither country publicly associated nuclear weapons with the patrol, strategic bombers inherently serve a dual role as conventional and nuclear deterrence platforms. Their recurring presence in contested Indo-Pacific airspace contributes to a broader environment of strategic competition, in which deterrence signaling increasingly becomes a permanent feature of regional security dynamics. Equally important was the operational sophistication displayed during the patrol. The integration of strategic bombers, fighter escorts, airborne early warning aircraft, and aerial refueling tankers demonstrated a level of interoperability that extends beyond symbolic political messaging. Such operations provide valuable experience in command coordination, logistics management, battle space awareness, and long-range force projection. In effect, these patrols function as operational rehearsals for future contingencies involving Taiwan, the East China Sea, or broader Western Pacific access routes. For Japan, South Korea, and the United States, the challenge extends beyond the immediate military implications of any single patrol. Repeated strategic aviation operations create persistent operational pressure, forcing allied states to maintain elevated readiness levels while consuming resources through constant surveillance, fighter scrambles, and intelligence collection efforts. Over time, this dynamic risks creating a cycle in which strategic competition becomes institutionalized and increasingly difficult to reverse. Historically, great power rivalries often intensify not through deliberate decisions to escalate, but through the gradual normalization of military competition. Before the First World War, European powers increasingly accepted high levels of military activity and strategic signaling as routine aspects of international politics. During the Cold War, strategic bomber patrols became a permanent feature of deterrence competition between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Indo-Pacific today may be entering a similar period of sustained strategic contestation. The June 27 patrol therefore reflects more than growing military cooperation between China and Russia. It illustrates the emergence of a more contested Indo-Pacific order characterized by competing security architectures, expanding military interoperability, and increasingly persistent demonstrations of strategic power. The greatest danger may not be that China and Russia seek immediate confrontation. Rather, it is that repeated demonstrations of military capability gradually normalize a level of strategic competition in which crises become more likely, deterrence becomes more fragile, and miscalculation becomes increasingly difficult to avoid. The patrol itself lasted only hours. The geopolitical consequences it represents may shape the Indo-Pacific for decades.